And we're live. Good morning, Dawn.
Morning. How are you?
I'm good. Can we say morning at 11? I never know if that's morning or are we starting afternoon.
Yeah, it's kind of borderline for sure, depending on
It,
where you're at too. So it's
yeah,
morning
you
feels
never.
like breakfast time, right?
Right. I eat breakfast late. I don't know. I'm like 11 could go either way. It's brunch. We'll just say it's brunch time. We don't know.
Yeah. Are
um,
you a morning person?
I am. So I'm early morning. My husband and I like to be up. He'll be up 5 a.m. or earlier. 5 to 5:30 is my sweet spot.
Same.
There's that research about when you do your best work. I absolutely could work like a 5:30 a.m. to like lunchtime block if I didn't have kids at home and probably be incredibly productive. What about you?
Same. Yeah, I get up at 5:30 every day
Love
religiously.
it.
And today I had the day off, so I slept in an extra hour. Treated
Nice.
myself. I had a 5 hour energy and hostess snowballs for breakfast.
Oh, excellent.
You might ask, is that bad for your health or just plain awesome? To that, I would say yes.
Yes to both. Yes to both. We don't need a specific. I love it. Well, and then now you're going to be totally energetic for this conversation. So let's jump right in. For those joining us, this is Industry Chats. We are in our third month of doing these bi weekly conversations with industry experts. Thank you for being here with us, or if you're watching back later, I am incredibly honored to have Don Barnett with us today. When I asked Don to join us and he said yes, I was like, this is awesome, this is big. So Don, thank you. And I would love for you do a quick intro on who you are, what you do, and then we'll jump right into this huge topic of personal branding, which I think I'm going to learn a lot today because you are amazing at it. So let's jump into your intro and we'll go from there. Tell us about yourself.
Well, thank you for all of that. You're giving me a big head. I should have invited like my family and hey, watch this. See, I'm getting some street cred.
I
That'll
love it.
last about like 4 hours,
I
maybe
love
tops.
it.
Yeah. So, well, I'm Don Barnett. I'm the director of sales and marketing at London House Chicago. It's the best job I've ever had.
Mhm.
I have I work with some great people. We have a great culture. I have a great boss, and it just so happens to be a great product and a great location. So
Love it.
I have a great day job. I also have a social media management company. I've
Mhm.
started and almost finished with a personal branding course that I have coming out soon. And then, fun fact, I went to art school, so I do commissioned art every once in a while as well. I love doing portraits. I love painting. I also have ADHD, so I have a lot of unfinished paintings as well that I have to get to.
I did not know this about you. That's like incredible. So you have all kinds of things that you're the expert in.
Yeah, maybe yeah, jack of all trades. I don't know. I don't expert might be a strong word, but
Well, considering I cannot even help my kids in their kindergarten and first grade art endeavors, I'm impressed. I'm not any good at that part of the brain, but well, that is amazing. And you know how you and I connected was through a friend on LinkedIn. Thank you, Nick. And I think this whole idea of personal branding and it's incredibly intriguing. So I wanted to just honestly let you talk the majority of today's session, but you have done this awesome job of course, we know you as a hotelier, but we also know you as an industry expert and someone that is just very smart with sales and marketing through this channel of LinkedIn. So tell us, like, first of all, what is personal branding? And then why should we be making an investment of our time and energy as professionals into this? Because opinion, it seems like it's a shift. When I started in the workforce, it was really all about pushing your company and the company you work for. But now it's almost like that will happen organically if you push this personal brand. So I'm curious, kind of why should we invest the energy? What is personal branding? Take it away.
yeah, I think the simple answer to what personal branding is it's your reputation,
Yeah.
but it's your reputation at scale. So
Yeah.
you're putting it out into the universe and letting everybody know, like this is what I know, this is what I'm good at, this is how I can help you, this is the value I can bring to you. As far as why you should make the investment of time and energy in it, one of the most valuable things right now is attention. And it's not enough to just try to get people's attention and say, look at the dancing monkey. It's more than that. It's
Yeah.
staying top of mind. And what
Right.
that means to me is when someone needs what it is that you can provide, are
Mm,
you the first person they think of? Or even better, are you the only person they think of?
right.
So yeah, so that's why it's worth it, because when somebody has an event they want to book, you know, I might be the first person or the only person they think of to refer that business to, or
Right.
they call because they need that, or they're looking for somebody to help with their social media or coach them on personal branding, or any of these various things I have my hand in. But that is at the crux of it, why it's worth the time.
Right. Yeah. And I love that you're saying that because I think anytime those of us who are busy professionals, right, whether it's you also have kids at home or this personal life, any additional demand of time can feel frustrating or absolutely not. I'm not doing that. But to your point, it's almost just an investment in your success in the future because you want to be the first person, the top of mind person when someone does have a need for what you offer. But would you say it's about doing it in a way that's not hard selling a product? It's just about building your expertise and knowledge. Like, what do you think about the approach to it?
The I have a great two-parter for you. The first part is when you think about making the time for it, what really was a great hack that I learned, it was just something somebody said that turned a switch on in my head, which was you need to treat it as a mini job. Like if you're really into it, treat it as a mini job. And
Yeah.
that doesn't mean you have to spend hours and hours and hours on it. I would say dedicate 30 minutes a day. If you ride the train to work like I do, I'll spend 30 minutes where I can get on and start commenting on other people's posts. And then
Smart.
my post drops, and then I can then get back on and respond to people's comments, and then
Mhm.
just little dip ins, throughout the day. But 30 minutes a day is really all it takes, not counting the time you spend creating the content. That might take a little more time. Uh,
Sure.
but there's that component of it. The second part, and here's the ADHD. I'm like, oh my God, what was I going to say?
I love it.
Um, I completely forgot what I was going to say.
No,
Oh my
that's
God.
okay. Think on it for a second because we're getting some really good comments here. So Corey says being the only person people think of when they have a problem you can solve is cha-ching. That's money. I agree with you, Corey. I think that's a huge goal, even for us in what I do. And then Mercedes has a great comment. So never thought of it that way. Personal branding is your reputation at scale. Genius. That is genius. And we'll put some of these key points in the post after this so that people who are not here can take away what you're saying, Dawn. But I think it probably comes with challenges when you're looking, so say you're whether you're brand new or maybe someone like me who took some time off to be a mom and came back into the industry. And honestly, when I came back, like LinkedIn was a whole different ball game than what it was. Corey, I think I've told you, when I used it for sales over a decade ago, it was a very different platform. So are there challenges, Dawn, with, creating this personal brand? And what would you say the challenges are?
There's two. This time I'm going to remember the two. The I would say the two biggest challenges are, one is I think a lot of people have trouble coming up with content.
Sure.
How do you create content? How do I create something that stands out that isn't just promotional? Which now I'm remembering what it was before, because you asked about being, overly salesy. So
Yeah.
if I can Quentin Tarantino on you for a second and go back in
Please.
time, is I would say when you're creating content, you want it to be about 80% what it is your specialty is, or the core
Okay.
theme that you want to talk about, but you want it to be educating and entertaining. So edutaining is kind of
I
the
love
mix
it.
of those two things. If you can blend those two things, then you're golden. And
Okay.
then the other 20%, I would say, is try to make it something that's of personal interest to people. A book recommendation, for example.
Okay.
Or a story, like, last weekend I posted about going up on a ladder and my daughter telling me I shouldn't I shouldn't do that anymore. But again, it's something
I love
relatable,
that.
and I tried to say, like, what I
Right.
need out of that. But it's
Right.
little personal stories like that. But to go back to the challenges, is one is the creating content part of it. And the good news is for people that are intimidated by that is it can definitely be learned. And and I can talk about this ad nauseum, which is why I created, I'm creating a course. But one is you can learn where to find inspiration.
Sure.
And here's a perfect example, a great hack for getting its inspiration is as you're going through other people's posts or OPP. Are you down with me? 90s reference, sorry.
Love it. No, no,
Uh,
no. I was born in the 80s actually. So
Beautiful. Uh, so as you're going through and leaving thoughtful comments on people's posts, instead of just the great or nice job, think of something thoughtful that you can leave for someone or ask them a question. I've done this with Corey, several times. He's inspired posts out of me because of something he wrote.
mm,
But I'll leave a thoughtful comment. And as I'm writing, I'm like, oh, that reminds me of XYZ.
right,
And then what I'll do is I'll screenshot that on my phone and I'll email it to myself. And now I have the basis for content for the next day. So I'll
right.
use my own comments on other people's posts as
Mm,
inspiration for creating content.
brilliant.
Um, the other thing is just keeping track of your ideas, like being mindful of as you think of things, writing it down. Or again, my biggest one I do is I send myself emails.
Yes.
I have a subject line where I'll say LinkedIn content, and
Okay.
then I'll put the general idea, or I can, write chicken monkey, and I'll know what I'm talking about. But
Right, right, right.
yeah, little
Yeah.
silly things, but I'll know what I mean. But it's little emails to myself. And before you know it, once you get in this content mindset,
Mm,
I've got like 15 to 20 ideas ready to go at any time because I have like all these stacked up in my emails. And then here's another beautiful part is the more you create content and the bigger of a library you have, you can go back to that
yeah.
because if 500 people say look at your content on a given day, 3 months from now, you can reuse that content, maybe put a
Mhm.
new spin on it, use a different
Right.
image, and it's likely going to get in front of a different audience altogether. And now you haven't had to work so hard to create content. So you can begin repurposing your content as well.
That
Um, yeah.
yes.
And then just things like copywriting too. It's intimidating, but there's a
Mhm.
structure to it. There's writing hooks and telling stories and looking for challenges and offering resolutions and call to actions. All of
Yeah.
these things, they're all things that can be learned. And I did,
Mhm.
I wasn't a copywriter, or I'm still not a copywriter, but I learned the skills over time. I'm also just a big nerd for this stuff, which makes it easier. So
Yeah.
here's another one more content tip I would give to is always try to talk about what you can naturally talk about, because if you're trying to force the issue, you're going to get sick of it and you're going to quit.
Right.
So always talk about something that you're passionate about, because
Mhm.
you'll always be willing to come to the table.
That's such good advice because I also think it's tiring enough to find the time to do this. So if you're going to talk, and I think that shows through to your audience too. If you're not really feeling it, but you're pushing this topic, I think that's so smart. And this is a kind of off the cuff question that comes to me. But so if you're sending yourself emails, right, that means your brain's probably always working on the next thing. And I do similar. I keep a note in my phone. What do you think about like content blocks? So a lot of times, you hear these gurus or sales gurus or social selling gurus tell you, block out 3 or 4 hours a week and just knock all your posts out then. And it's not that I think I've done similar, but is that the best way? Or if you're getting inspiration through the week as you see Corey or Nick or Mercedes or someone post, are you kind of stifling creativity by having a content day? Do you know what I'm saying? Or is that okay? Like what's your thought on that for the busy professional?
I would say do whatever works for you. I,
Okay.
I there is validity to batch creating.
Sure.
So for me, I like I said, I went to art school, so I have a right brain. I'm very a right mind,
Right.
right brain thinker. That creativity, and I do have these moments where things start coming to me, or I get into that flow state where I am in a creative mood, and I will batch create during those times and knock out 3 posts, 4 posts, 5 posts. But if whenever I try to force the issue or say, okay, at 3 o'clock on Sunday, I'm going to do this. If
Mm,
I'm not feeling it, I'm not feeling it. So I think you just do what works best for you. Keep track of those ideas as you go. If
right.
But it is a great idea to batch create if you can, because
Mhm.
you're setting yourself up for success, and then you're not, at the last minute just trying to force something out. So if you can batch create and create content in advance, I highly recommend that than waiting. If
Yeah.
you're posting at 8 a.m. every morning, waiting until 7:30 and being like, oh, I don't know what to post.
Yes.
So
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. That's encouraging because I had a day last week where I came up with all of this week's posts. And I've never even done that because normally I'm a little less creative in one block. And I was like, well, that was nice because now it's done. So but usually I am more of an off the cuff. I have to think of it that day or something comes to me. So I go with it. But I think that's helpful. And we had a very thoughtful comment here. Someone says that you're right on with the content that you're passionate about. Some of my best posts are when I talk about OTAs versus direct. I don't like booking OTA. I love that. So I think that's what you're saying, right? Is when we feel a passion about something, that's going to come through to our audience. And I think it resonates a lot more if you agree.
absolutely. Yeah,
Tell me,
I couldn't agree more.
yeah, and tell me about the monetization of all of this. So kind of the elephant in the room is it's worth it, but what does that look like from a monetary perspective? And I know you touched on it as being the top of mind person for your product when someone is coming to market or has a need, but how would you describe monetizing this personal brand? Because I think that's really what it, at the end of the day, it's about building relationships, yes, but we got to make money. So what would you say about that?
What I think people get wrong is pitch slapping.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it 2 or 3 times a day where someone sends me a direct message and they just met me or just connected with me and they go right into their pitch.
Mm,
And what I would suggest people do is when you're on LinkedIn and you want to either send a direct message or post, or you're trying to monetize it, is think of it like you're going to a networking event, which is it's a networking platform. So if you go into it with that mindset, would you go up to a complete stranger at a networking event and then just immediately start pitching your stuff? I mean, you're
no.
going to physically
Right.
see the person like
Yes.
fall asleep, and
Yeah.
then they're going to be like, great, nice to meet you, and walk away. And what happens on LinkedIn is you're either going to get blocked or deleted or not answered most of the time.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I don't recommend that. But I think the other thing is the what your expectations are when it comes to monetization. One
Mhm.
is you have to build up your presence over time.
Right.
But this is one of those things that's a marathon. I've been doing this hardcore for like 2.5 years. And I would say
Mhm.
it took about 6 to 9 months before I
Okay.
started to see like some things pop as far as
Right.
incoming leads or referrals. So you have to temper your expectations and expect that opportunities and monetization is going to come when you least expect it.
Mm.
Uh, so, for example, I met a woman named Allison Knapp. So, shout out to her. I don't know if she's on the call or not,
I
but
follow
I
her.
met,
Yes. I love her
yeah,
content. Yeah.
she's awesome. And she's somebody who's on LinkedIn. And I met her a couple of years ago, and we love each other's content. We're content, and we just know each other. We people on LinkedIn through these like little daily texts is really what it's kind of like. But I've made some amazing friendships like Corey Falter, Nick Horgan, and Allison Knapp, John Carpenter, just to throw out a few names there. But I've made these incredible friendships. But Allison and I met or met online. We eventually got to meet at a conference as well. But she lives in Virginia and I'm in Chicago.
Mhm. Mhm.
And one day out of the blue, I have Allison reach out to me and she said, hey, I just want to let you know so and so is going to be reaching out to you. She's one of my regular clients. And she told me today, we have an event coming, a big event coming up in Chicago. Do you know somebody? And Allison said, I know just the guy.
Wow.
And just like that, I was the only person she thought of when she
Wow.
referred somebody to Chicago, and we booked it.
So,
So
and
just like that,
monetization. Yes.
yeah, $50,000 group, just like that.
Makes it all so worth it. I mean, again, the
Yeah,
relationships are very worth it, but that's why you build the relationship. is so that you can, help each other. What an incredible story. And no doubt, if you had somebody in Allison's neck of the woods that needed to plan an event, of course you're going to send them to her.
In a millisecond. Yeah.
Right. Oh my gosh, what a story. I'm thinking someone should write a course about all this. Tell us a little bit, because
Yes.
we're coming to the end of our time. This has been incredible, but I don't typically do this on these, but I would love you to tell us a little bit about this course, because I see from the comments here, people are thrilled. Maggie, welcome. Maggie says she's so glad she logged on and found us live. What are you going to write about, and when can we expect this to come out? I know I'm on the pre-registered list to get the
Yeah.
minutes ready, but tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I have it broken down. I'm trying to cover it from beginning to end and just all of the big things that everybody should know and these little tips and tricks that I've picked up over time. I'm trying to create as much value as possible
Mm,
where people look at it and they're like, it's a no-brainer to buy this course. I wanted to create way more value than what the price is. That's my goal. I want people to feel like, wow, I really got my money's worth out of this. And I cover everything from looking at your profile and how that should look in your about section, and going into engagement with other people. And that's really where you should start, is commenting on other people's posts. And then the real meat and potatoes and the fun part is creating content and how to do that and finding inspiration, and then things like the tech stack I use to keep track, and
yeah.
how I write, content calendars, all of that kind of stuff. So God, I was hoping so badly to have it done by now. And I recording video, you find yourself doing multiple takes, and it's like, oh, I'm almost
Yeah.
there, but I am almost there. I'd say within the next 2 weeks, this is going to be like ready to go.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, amazing news. And I understand, I feel that on video. I never knew how tough it was until I started recording for LinkedIn. And we do customer recordings. And I'm like, this is way harder than you would think. So major kudos to you. And maybe what we need to do is a part 2 of this once that's released. And I feel like there's so much more to talk about. So everybody stay tuned. Maybe we'll do a part 2, Don. And I hope that you have a wonderful Christmas season. Thank you for joining us. Oh, and quickly, I know people are going to want to hear from you more and follow you and get in touch. So what is the best way to get in touch with you if our audience is not currently connected?
Connect with me on LinkedIn. That is the perfect place. I'm on there every single day, and uh, shoot me a DM if there's anything, you want to reach out or talk shop. Happy to do that. But yeah, definitely reach out to me on LinkedIn.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Dawn, so much. To our
Yeah. Thank
audience, thank
you.
you guys. Yes, thank you everyone for the interactive comments. Stay tuned. This is our last session of the year, but in January, we have some awesome names coming on to help both hotelier and vendor. And we're excited. So, Dawn, thank you. Thank you. And we'll see
Yeah. Thank
everybody
you.
very soon. Bye, guys.